Hello my dear friends, you're on the MilitarySummary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 19th of August of 2025. Today we have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. So now we can say that 24 hours have passed since the end of the talks between the President of the United States of America and the Western leaders, including the President of Ukraine Zelensky, and now we can make probably more or less reliable conclusions based on the results of this meeting. So very interesting meeting. Probably lots of leaders of European countries came to Trump with the purpose to talk with him and to discuss with him plans and to discuss with him an agreement that was reached by the United States of America and the President of the Russian Federation. But telling the truth, Donald Trump was completely unsatisfied with this event. It's not like he wasn't unsatisfied because he hasn't managed to force probably Zelensky and European countries to accept the plan and the agreement that was reached between the President of the United States of America and the President of the Russian Federation. He was unsatisfied because it was boring for him. He was completely bored. He was trying to talk with Zelensky first face to face, trying to probably find at least a competitor in his face, but nothing happened. No show, no loud talks, no jokes, nothing in comparison with the previous meeting that took place several months ago. Donald Trump was completely unsatisfied with the talks with Zelensky because he was boring. Then he tried to talk with European leaders. They sat around him and they started asking him questions about the situation, about agreements, and that was also boring because at some point of this conversation, of this talk, Donald Trump noted that they were talking nonsense. European leaders were talking nonsense and they were also boring. For example, Ursula von der Leyen at some point started talking about children. Of course, this is a very important topic, but as Trump noted, this is not the moment and the meeting when we will discuss the situation. He tried to talk with the German Chancellor, but the German Chancellor was talking about ceasefire, and the idea of ceasefire is as old as probably the universe, so also not related to the situation. So at some point it was so boring for the President of the United States of America, so he decided to interrupt the entire meeting and he went to satisfy himself. He went to call Putin to discuss with him, and he talked with him for more than 40 minutes. Just imagine yourself. He spent time for this talk, more time, 40 minutes, than for every single leader of European countries, of his closest allies, and Zelensky himself. After he was satisfied with call with Putin, he came back and finished the meeting with the European countries and with Zelensky. So the European countries' leaders left the United States of America probably without anything, without any decision, without anything. The only interesting report we got today about the previous, let's say about this conversation, about this negotiation process, is that during the call between the President of the United States of America and Putin proposed Trump to arrange the next meeting on the territory of Moscow. Probably Putin was joking, and Trump decided to joke as well, but Zelensky didn't understand the joke and he refused and rejected this proposal. So we are entering the 19th of August of 2025. We see that nothing has been changed since that meeting, and the special military operation continues. Now let's discuss this special military operation to understand what exactly is happening right now. During the previous 24 hours, probably for the first time for the previous 2 or 3 weeks, the Russians launched another massive missile and drone attack all over the entire territory of Ukraine. And this time, the Russians attacked energy facilities, oil facilities of Ukraine. The Russians attacked the city of Kremenchuk, more precisely oil refinery. The Russians attacked pump station that Ukrainians used to pump gas from one side of Ukraine to another. And the Russians attacked the Slaviansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration, where the Ukrainians concentrating their forces probably to repel an upcoming Russian offensive operation in the direction of the city of Kostiantynivka. As a result of this attack, the oil refinery was completely destroyed, and the sources are saying that there is still fire in this area. This oil refinery was completely damaged and destroyed without any chances for Ukrainian side to restore it. The sources are saying that the Russians attacked this oil refinery as an act of revenge. During the previous 24 hours, the Ukrainians attacked some energy facilities on the territory of the Russian Federation. Oil pipeline, by the name of Druzhba, was damaged and destroyed by the Ukrainians, and the Russians decided to counterattack Ukrainians, and Ukrainian, probably the only more or less huge and powerful oil refinery in the central part of Ukraine, was destroyed. By the way, very important oil refinery that Ukrainians used to supply and support their forces along the line of combat contact. In other important updates, during the previous 24 hours, the Ukrainian sources published lots of videos and lots of updates from the area of the city of Tokmak in the central part of the Zaporizhzhia region. So this is the first, let's say, update that, well, not, this is not the first one, this is the first picture that was published today by Ukrainian sources, and here we can see a picture of destroyed trains along the railways between the city of Tokmak and the city of Mariupol and the rest of the Russian Federation. Some train was destroyed that was probably bringing some oil, some fuel for Russian troops in this direction, was damaged and destroyed. Later, the units of the 65th Mechanized Brigade published this video where we can see how everything started. In this video, we can see how Ukrainian drone first managed to discover the train, and then this, let's say, drone began hunting this train, trying to attack probably the first part of the train, and here we can see the moment when the drone struck the train. Later, by the evening of the 19th of August, the pro-Ukrainian sources published another video, also units of the 65th Mechanized Brigade, and this time the train was stopped under the fire of the armored forces of Ukraine, and here we can see probably 5 or 6 strikes of drones of the armored forces of Ukraine that led to complete collapse and complete destruction of railways and this train. And Ukrainians saying that this is special operation. Obviously, this will slow down Russian possibilities, Russian logistic capabilities in this direction. Now the Russians need, first of all, to evacuate and to clear these railways from this train, and then they will be able to restore communication. So Ukrainians are saying that this attack can lead to complete collapse of logistics of the armed forces of the Russian Federation before the beginning of possible Zaporizhzhia offensive operation. And when talking about this Russian offensive Zaporizhzhia offensive operation, according to information we have, most likely the Russians are going to attack the Zaporizhzhia direction, not from the south in the northern direction as we used to believe. The Russians are going to attack not like from this area of the city of Tokmak in the direction of Orekhov or Gulay-Polya. Military experts are saying that the Russians will try to outflank these settlements by attacking them from the east in the northern direction. And during the previous 24 hours, for example, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly, at least according to pro-Ukrainian resources from Deep State team. The Russians managed to shorten the distance toward the settlement of Olgovska. Most likely there are very heavy clashes in this area right now. Furthermore, the Russians continue their pressure, intensifying their actions in the direction of the settlement of Novoselovka, which is located to the east of Velika-Mikhailovka along the river of Volcha. During the previous 24 hours, another batch of videos was published from this area, where we can see how Russians were attacking the settlement that is located along the river. Lots of explosions, lots of attacks, and it seems that this is first of all something like artillery preparation before the beginning of a full-scale ground operation. So let's wait and see what is going to be next, but it seems that this is exactly the beginning of announced Russian offensive operation in the Zaporizhzhia direction. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Pokrovsk direction. During the past 24 hours, we haven't received lots of changes on the ground, but we have some important videos. First, let's talk about the city of Pokrovsk. During the previous 24 hours, the pro-Ukrainian resources published this video, and here we can see the railway station that was almost completely destroyed in the central part of the city, and it's not just the consequences, let's say, of Russian FAB attack or attack with the use of thought flamethrower system. The Ukrainian sources are saying that these are the consequences of close combat between the Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group and Ukrainian forces that were trying to secure this area and to clear this area from Russian units. So based on this video, we can make a conclusion that most likely during the previous days the Russians managed to answer this territory and to hold positions on the territory of this railway station, but most likely these positions were repelled and recaptured by the Ukrainians later. So based on this video, we are not adjusting anything, but this is just another proof that confirms that at some point of Russian offensive operation in the direction of the city of Pokrovsk, the Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group were able to enter the central part of the city. As for the eastern and the northeastern direction, we have no changes. During the previous 24 hours, the Russians published several videos of how they were bombing the southeastern part or the eastern part of the city of Mirnograd. Most likely the Russians are planning to intensify their activities in this area, but as of now, no changes. As for the area of Russian breakthrough, during the previous 24 hours, we have some changes. According to different videos that were published both by pro-Russian and pro-Ukrainian resources, we can make a conclusion that during the previous 24 hours, the Russians managed to improve their positions on the flanks of the Shakhovo pocket. The Russians managed to tighten the news and to get a bit closer to the settlement itself. When talking about several and different pro-Russian resources, they are giving additional progress on the ground. According to them, the Russians basically managed to shorten the distance to the settlement of Shokhovo till the minimal level, and currently the distance between the settlement itself and possible Russian edge positions is less than 2 kilometers. More precisely, 1 kilometer and 550 meters. So it seems that the battle for this pocket will start very soon, and if the Russians, and as soon as the Russians are able to take this pocket under complete control, obviously this will allow the Russians to continue their breaking through operation deep inside of the Donbas region. At the same time, the Ukrainians are trying to counterattack Russians with the purpose to slow them down, and during the previous days, the Ukrainians restored control over the settlement of Zoltoy Kolodez, Veselye. Several pro-Ukrainian resources reported that the Ukrainians currently, by the end of the 19th of August, managed to restore control over the village of Kucherov Yar, but as for this area, this territory is completely covered with the fog of war. We are waiting for additional updates, but obviously I believe that you have noted that the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation haven't published any report about additional settlement taken by the Russians for a very long period of time. So either something is happening or the Russians are trying to keep silence before very powerful media blow from their side. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Kostiantynivka direction. Currently, this is the most interesting and the most probably exciting area. The sources reported, mainly pro-Russian resources, reported that as a result of clashes during the previous 48 hours, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to improve their positions in the southeastern part of the city of Kostiantynivka, so the Russians are already on the territory of the settlement, which is very important. As of now, we are waiting for geolocations or confirmation from pro-Ukrainian resources, especially from Deep State team. As for now, we don't have anything like this. Anyway, if this information is correct, sooner or later, this will force the Ukrainians to fall back completely from this pocket of Alexandra Shultina. Otherwise, the Ukrainians would be caught in cauldron. And if Ukrainians leave or withdraw their positions from the settlement of Alexandra Shultina, this will lead to complete collapse of Ukrainian defense along the line of Kleban-Bykny, Lipovka, Plishevka, Ivanopolia. So it seemed that very soon we're going to see huge migration of Ukrainian forces from this pocket further in the northern direction. It seems that the entire defense of the southern part of the city of Kostiantynivka collapsed completely. So now it's time, we are just waiting for provements and confirmations from different sources, which most likely will happen very, very soon. As for the Siversk direction, there are very heavy clashes in this area. The Russians continue advancing towards the city of Siversk, trying to outflank the settlement by moving from different directions. The Russians always check and test Ukrainian defense to the east of the city. The Russians are trying to improve their positions along the river of Seversky Donetsk with the purpose to take and complete the settlement of Dronovka. And of course, the Russians are trying to finish the battle for the Kremenная Forest. Most likely, the Russians to the east of the city of Siversk are waiting when the Russians in the Kremenная Forest will finish the battle for this strategical position. The battle for the city of Siversk, for the forest of Serebryanka, started in 2022 in November, and as you can see, it's already past more than 3 years, or around 3 years during this battle, and now the Russians are about to finish these clashes and this fight. Very important. If Russians take this forest under control, Ukrainians most likely would be forced to fall back further in the western direction. As for the central Kupiansk and the northern Kupiansk direction, nothing special happened during the previous 24 hours. The only interesting videos worth attention were published in the northern Kupiansk direction. Here we can see how Russians attacked another vehicle that was trying to cross the river of Oskol with the purpose to bring some supply. And here we can see another probably number of strikes on the bridge between the left and the right bank of the river of Oskol that Ukrainians used to supply their contingent also to the east of the river. So always and every time the Russians intensify their strikes on the logistic of the city of Kupiansk and the Kupiansk direction, especially of the northern direction, means that the Russians are about to begin another wave of offensive with the purpose to improve their positions. So we expect that the map, that the configuration of the Kupiansk front will be adjusted in coming days. And that's it for today. MilitarySummary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.